First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Quadash, and double honors to those great millstones, while unto truth, and also to those elect that is scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson to the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type day lesson is the real plan. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope to sweep you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. It says here, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And out about who is the physical counterpart of Satan, who is doing the bidding of Satan in the flesh. That is the so-called white man, the modern day so-called white man, the Caucasian man, the cave dweller. And also when you go to Genesis 25 and verse 25, the first one came out red, the red man, so not white, but red. And out the Bible says here, it said, for we're not ignorant of his device. So who is not ignorant of his device or his evil purpose or his evil plan, his evil scheme that he's getting ready to try to bring forth, total control, the NWO, this new system that they're constantly putting into place. We're seeing all this order out of chaos, left and right, So one thing about who is not ignorant of that, the what? Starting with the prophet, the 144. And also what? The true believers, we're not ignorant of Satan, devices, his plan, his mindset. We know that the devil's getting ready to come down with great wrath. We know that he is trying to make you a petrol slave. He is trying to use this grain of rice, this badge of servitude, to make you comply. He wants to be like the Most High, So one thing about we're not ignorant of his evil scheme, his evil plan, his mindset, And one thing about it, we're seeing it rolling out right before our order out of chaos. Start to chaos, and come with the solution. What is that solution? That 3-letter word, the NWO, So we're seeing things are happening at a very, very fast pace. We're seeing that digital infrastructure is here. We're seeing that World War III is constantly blowing. The stage is set, for World War III. We're at the blink, at the brink of World War III. It's on the horizon, Also, these prophecies are speaking loud and clear. And one thing about it, we knowing that we're living in the end time, real time. And one thing about it, we already knowing that, that's what they want, cause all these different, scenario, all these different events and calamities and catastrophes. But guess what? It's all through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. They already want to bring, they want you to respond so they can bring forth what they call martial law, the military, bring in the military to put you in facilities, also to unalive a whole lot of you. It's called Jacob's trouble. So, the stage is set. All things are ready. The grain of rice is here. All road lead to that grain of rice. You will not be able to buy or sell. So these things are coming into place left and right. A lawless time. Sedition among men. Insurrection. A lot of things is coming. And war is coming to America's shore, Babylon the Great. And one thing about a lot of our people right now still are not aware, still are not considering. And these times are right before our eyes. And one thing about it, at any given time, in a blink of an eye, these things could go down. And one thing about it, that's why the Lord had set up watchmen to warn you of all these immediate dangers, what is coming upon us, warning before destruction. And one thing about it, the Lord is getting ready to roll out his plan. We seeing these things are happening left and right. So we already knowing about what's going on, what's in the news pretty much every day, that America is getting ready to go to war with Iran. It's already been prophesied. And who warned you first? The true men of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, the prophets. And one thing about it, we're not ignorant of his devices. So let's look up this word device right quick so we get a little better understanding here. Let's go into the interstellar of the word device. Let's go here right quick. You know, just a very quick lesson through the spirit, something that I'm seeing through the spirit. Let's go here to G3540 devices. And let's see here.
Strong's G3540.
Naima. So let's go here. It says here, a mental perception, thought. And it says here, it said an evil purpose. So what is that evil purpose? This man is want total control, have you under surveillance 24 hours a day, dealing with your what? Biometrics, digital IDs, you know, dealing with this new infrastructure that they're putting into place, this new CBDC, this new cashless society they're coming into place, this Neuralink, you know, put it that way, this grain of rice, all these things are coming, AI, robotics, transhumanism, you know, so that is that evil purpose. He wants to be like the Most High, but he's what? Imagine a vain thing. So that which thinks the mind, thoughts, or purpose. So that the main thing is an evil purpose. We're not ignorant of his device, of his what? Evil purpose. Let's see what the interstellar say. I never looked, let's see what the etymologist said. Let's see what it just said. I never went into it to see. It says here,
Strong's G3539.
Naeo. It says here, to perceive with the mind, to understand, to have understand, to think upon, say, heed, ponder, or consider. So that's exactly what he's doing. You know, say to think upon, that he will rule forever, you know, that he will be like the Most High, or he will be a God, or some sort of, you know what I'm saying? He's imagining a vain thing. The Lord already said his hands would not be able to perform his enterprise. So let's get back out of that. So you got a pretty good idea about what this man's agenda, true agenda is, you know, so to make you a petrol slave. But one thing about it, he's in for a rude awakening. So now let's go back out of this here. And I got one quick video. This is going to be a very short lesson tonight. Just something I seen through the spirit. I'm going to use the video and bring it out the best of my ability through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Let's get this one quick video, and it's going to show you their agenda, their plan, what they're getting ready to bring forth. It's happening right before our eyes, whether you will hear or whether you will forbear. So let's start today's video. And once again, I hope that you will get edified.
This is what the government is planning for you during martial law. Right now, they're worried that they're going to start seeing a lot of civil unrest from the public due to things like hyperinflation, food shortages, mass immigration, cyber attacks on our power grid, and eventually when World War III kicks off. So let's go over what they have planned to put you guys back in line using martial law. So first off, they're planning that you'll have a curfew. No one will be allowed outside the house from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. unless you have a special clearance. All travel between cities will be restricted unless approved by the government. The National Guard, along with active duty military units, will occupy all major cities. Soldiers will be patrolling neighborhoods, and drones will be used for surveillance to track people who leave their home. Suspension of civil liberties. Courts will be shut down, and the military will be allowed to arrest people without charges. Any outspoken activists will disappear into undisclosed military detention facilities. They will seize control of all media outlets and telecommunications. The internet will be heavily censored, and social media platforms will be completely shut down. Only government-sanctioned news will make it to the public. In the name of public safety, your weapons will be confiscated. Military units will go door-to-door conducting forced searches of homes and taking away your weapons. They will impose mandatory labor drafts where you will be forced to repair and maintain infrastructure and manufacture essential goods. With the supply chain disrupted, they will take control of all food production and distribution, so there will be rationing. There's going to be a citizen informant program where citizens will be encouraged to report suspicious activity or anti-government speech.
You kind of see exactly, you know, they're telling you some of their plan, what's to come. And man, the Lord, we've constantly been warning you about this left and right. That's why you have to put on the whole armor of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. So we seeing right there in that first video, had a lot of meat in that video, you know, so, you know, they already knowing that if, you know, when all this hell break loose, you know, they are going to bring in the military, you know, and they're going to have an invasion. A lot of things are getting ready to happen, you know, and then the devil shall cast some of you into prison. So let's start here first. In Ephesians chapter 6, and we'll start at verse 11. So you got to put on the whole armor of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, this wisdom, this knowledge, this understanding, you know, and one thing about it, it shall sustain you in these times of trouble that are fast approaching, the left and right, you know. So we seeing right now, you know, things are getting very, very perilous are right upon us. And we're constantly warning you left and right any given day, all of a sudden. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 11 said, put on the whole armor of the Almighty that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Now the body, he's getting ready to lose his damn mind. And one thing about it, but the Lord said for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So one thing about it, this man is getting ready to use everything at his disposal. But one thing about it, the Lord already told her that he is getting ready to be cut off. We're in that transition of power. We're seeing these things happen left and right. That's why we go over these things over and over, because it is here. It's right before our eyes. Stay prayed up. Ask the Lord to have mercy upon you, and redeem the time wisely, because we're living in some very evil times, so the wiles of the devil, man, I'm telling you, man, we're coming upon these things. Let's look up this word wiles right quick, but we already know about to put on the whole armor. Wisdom and knowledge should be what the stability of time. So I look up the wiles of the devil. If it'll pull up, I see right now, it done went blank on me. That's okay, there it go. One thing about the phone, when you bring up the truth, always something happens. Let's look at this word wiles, G3180, just for edification purpose. I ain't never really looked it up. Let's see what it says here.
Strong's G3180, Methodiah.
So, this is why you got to put on the whole armor of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, cunning, said, arts, deceits, craft, trickery. So that's exactly what he's going to use upon you. Cunning, deception, lies, smooth words. A lot of things that he's getting ready to come with. That's why the Lord said in Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10, never trust thy enemy. As iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So one thing about this man is getting ready to use everything at his disposal. And hey, man, we're here, man. So this man is very cunning. He's very clever. When you go to Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1, the serpent was most subtle than any beast of the field. And one thing about it, we already know who that is, the so-called white man, the red man. He's getting ready to use everything at his disposal. That's why you got to put on the whole armor of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. Let's read in the NLT. It said, put on all God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all strategies, cunning, deceptions, and all sorts of wickedness of the devil, in which, in fact, who is the devil that the Bible speaks? So-called white man. Verse 12, it said, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And out of the Bible, that's what we constantly seeing each and every day. Demonic activity throughout the entire world, all sorts of witchcraft, all sorts sorcery is going on right now, but only for a short time. And also that wickedness in high place. We talking about the 1% of these international bankers, And one thing about it, the one is constantly causing these things to come to pass, but through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. We already know that they're trying to bring forth this agenda for several hundreds of years, and now they're getting ready to try to roll out their plan. They want that total control, a new world order. That's why they constantly, things are constantly moving left and right. That's why we're seeing DJ Donald Trump, the puppet, and also Elon Musk constantly moving in warp speed. He's constantly signing all sorts of executive orders left and right. And one thing about who are they getting ready to target? That's why we got to put on the whole armor of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, the Negroes, the Latinos, the Native Indians. I'm talking to you. And one thing about it, it's getting ready to be a time of trouble that we've never seen before. And one thing about it, that's what we constantly seeing, all this darkness, all this wickedness in high places, So one thing about it, this man is getting ready to lose his damn mind. We're constantly warning you left and right. But one thing about it, he's getting ready to show up. And, but when he show up, the Lord is getting ready to show up and show out. And we cannot wait. Verse 13 said, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Almighty, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and have it done all to stand. So one thing about that, we want to stand firmly. And how do we do that? This wisdom, this knowledge, this understanding, this gospel, it shall sustain us in times of trouble. Your faith, and your works are getting ready to be tried. And one thing about it, the Lord is only perfecting us. The Lord is only is getting ready to bring us through the storm, through much tribulation. Ye shall enter the kingdom of heaven. So now, let's go here. So, it's going to be a lot of sedition, a lot of mayhem, a lot of what? They already telling you about what? Civil war, civil unrest. A lot of things will come. World War III, the wars to end all wars. Let's go here to Isaiah. Let's go ahead to Isaiah. Let's get this one here because this is exactly what's getting ready to happen. When they call this martial law, a lot of things are getting ready to happen just like this, just like the Bible said. It says here, and I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptians, American against Americans, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So that's exactly what we're seeing left and right. It's going to get worse and worse, as we go further and further. It's a lot of tension, a lot of uncertainties. A lot of people right now are very afraid. And one thing about it, a lot of things are getting ready to have death and destruction. The body count is getting ready to be great. And one thing about it, America is getting ready to be totally destroyed. We constantly warn you left and right. Seek the Lord now. The door of repentance is closing. So now, as that's exactly what's getting ready to happen. This order out of chaos, get a little bit more. So, it's going to be, fighting all over the place. You know what I'm saying? They already putting it in the movies. They constantly setting the stage. Also, I heard a rumor that, I seen a video, a young woman was saying that they are preparing, to go against people of color. They say they had a compound in between, I think it was Tennessee and I want to say Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's one of them was Tennessee. I can't remember the other state. But anyway, saying that they had a compound and they're preparing for this civil unrest or civil war. So we already know that it's going to be a race war. And one thing about it, we already know that Jacob's trouble is getting ready to pop off very soon. So, and hoping that this is the year of our great deliverance and our Lord and Savior to return and set everything back into order. So now let's go to our last and final script. Let's go here to 2 Ezra chapter 16, and we'll close out here. If I'm not, let's see, yes. 2 Ezra chapter 16, we'll start up at, I start up at verse 18. And it says, the beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famines and great death, and the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? What shall you do? So we're at the beginning of sorrow, the birth pain. We're seeing all of the signs of the times are here. We're seeing that the war drums are beating. We're seeing that tension is rising. We're seeing that nations are rising against nations. We're seeing that the end is being manifest right before our eyes. Also, we're seeing that our salvation is at the door. So let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 15. Let's drop down here to Salakia. I think I jumped the gun a little bit. This is not what I want. Let's go back to verse 16. Let's see here where I want. No, this is not it. Let's go back. Let's go back up to 2 Ezra chapter 16. And I think it is 16 if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I think it is. No, Salakia. Let me get it together in a minute. I'm trying to see where I want to go. So let's see. This is good too. Let's just read this too. But this is something else I want to get. I just gotta. Let's see. It's another scripture, but I'll go back to it. So let's continue to read. So right here, we know we're at the beginning of sorrows. It's 2 Ezra chapter, Salakia for that. 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 18 said, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. So great death is coming. It said the beginning of wars, World War III is beginning. It said, and the power shall stand in fear, and the beginning of evils. These evils are growing all around us. Plagues are coming up on us every side. Said, what shall I do when these evils shall come? We're going to trust and believe in Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Said, so verse 19, behold, famine, plague, tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So one thing about it, we constantly saying these things coming upon us left and right. So these scourges are sent for amendment. Amend your way, examine yourself. And one thing about it, get your house in order, get your mind right. Let go of the modern thought. Verse 20 said, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So a lot of people right now are not turning away. They're still not mindful. They're not considered. They're not aware. And these things are constantly growing all around you, left and right. And one thing about it, a lot of people going to get caught up in that evil net all of a sudden. Verse 21 said, behold, victuals shall be good and cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and evils, it said, a good case, and even then shall evil grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. That's exactly what we see in left and right. That sword goes into judgment. We see in left and right. We know that a great famine is coming, a great economic collapse, the end of the dollar, it's the end of America. Civil unrest, civil war, a lot of things are coming. Great confusion, order out of chaos, death and destruction. It's upon us, left and right. Verse 22 said, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, food shortage, rolling blackout, starvation, a lot of things are coming, cyber attacks, EMP attacks, things left and right. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So that sword is going into what? All sorts of different judgment, from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. Man, I'm telling you, man, a lot of things are coming. Something else I want to get, but I got to look for it. I got to find it, and I think it's in, man, I can't find it right off. I normally go straight to the punchline. This is it right here. Salakia for that. It said, let's go to this right quick and we'll close out. It said, 2 Amos chapter 15 and verse 15 said, for the sword in their destruction draws nigh or near, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. The modern day sword is the what? It's the gun, all sorts of weaponry they get ready to bring forth. You know what I'm saying? We already know that America will be invaded inside out. These sleeper cells are in place. We're constantly warning you left and right. The military, everything is ready. It's all they waiting for, the green light, and all hell is getting ready to break loose. But we're going to constantly what? Trust and believe in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. So we're seeing that the sword in their destruction drawing nearer and nearer. We know that one people shall stand up and fight against another. Civil war, civil unrest, all sorts of things are getting ready to happen. Verse 16 said, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So one thing about it, sedition goes into a rioting, protesting, looting, all sorts of things, raping, robbing, stealing, and killing. A lot of these things are getting ready to happen. They're not going to regard anyone. Not going to regard the law enforcement. They're not going to regard the government. They're not going to even regard each other or the military. It's going to be a lawless time, a time of trouble that we've never seen before. And a lot of people will stand in fear. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'm telling you, man, we're here. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able because of what martial law. You've seen in the video, the checkpoints, you know what I'm saying? Constantly, having you under surveillance, constantly, moving you from place to place. A lot of things that get ready to come into play, going from house to house. These things are coming. Whether you believe it or not, we're coming upon a lawless time. We're constantly wondering. We're seeing that cruel Lord, DJ Donald Trump. He's getting popping. We're seeing right now things are happening right before our eyes. So a man shall desire to go in the city, but he cannot go if he don't have the right credentials or the right thing under his skin. You understand what I'm saying? Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So a lot of things are getting ready to happen. A lot of people right now are getting ready to lose everything, including their lives, because of what? Because of their great pride. A lot of people are walking in great pride, and many great miseries shall befall them. The Lord shall choose your delusion. Judgment is now at hand, and it's going to constantly increase. We constantly warning you left and right. So a lot of people are going, houses are going to be trouble. A lot of people are going to be taken right. Husband and wives are going to be separated. You're going to be separated from your entire family. You're going to lose your entire family. A lot of things are getting ready to happen. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because the lack of bread and great tribulation. What are you going to do when you don't have any water? What are you going to do when you don't have any money, no type of finance? What are you going to do when you don't have any shelter, clothing, medical supply? Your children are hungry. You are hungry. Your wife is hungry. What are you going to do? A lot of people going to line up and take that under the skin, because of what? The lack of bread and great tribulation. I'm hungry. I'm starving. sovereign. I had to do it. All you had to do was trust and believe in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. And one thing about it, they're getting ready to be cut off on this side. Because one thing about it, they don't have faith. They don't have works. And one thing about it, once again, the body count is getting ready to be great. Great persecution, great tribulation, great destruction. Man, it is here. So now let's go to our last and final script. I done talked long enough here. Let's go here to Mark chapter 13. We'll close out here. Mark chapter 13 and verse 19. We'll close out here. But for the elect's sake, the Lord is going to deliver us. He's going to shorten the days. Let's go here. It said, for in those days shall be affliction such as was not from the beginning of creation, which the Almighty created to this time, neither shall be. So it's going to be a time you'll never, ever see ever again that what is coming. It's going to top all generations. And one thing about it, you'll never see it again because the Lord is, he's getting ready. He's getting ready to make it good. I'm telling you, man. So it says here, verse 20 said, and except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he has chosen, he has shortened the days. So that's why we're seeing the time is constantly accelerating. Time is constantly speeding up left and right. It's morning, it's evening. Every day just constantly speeding up because the Lord is shortening the day for what? The elect's sake, the true believers of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. And one thing about it, man, we'll get so very close. Let's get one more. Let's go here to Jeremiah chapter 30. Let's close out right here. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7. We close out right here. It's a good note to close out on right here, because this is the time that we're coming upon a time of trouble that we've never seen before, the hour of temptation, the hour of piercing. It's coming upon us. You get ready to make a decision, a global event that will never ever be come again. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, we cannot wait to get out of this nightmare. Let's read this and close out. Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 7 says, at last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Who shall be saved out of what? The 1/3 remnant that the Lord is returning for. And Jacob's name is the father are the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel. And one thing about the Lord is only coming back from the Israel of the Most High, the house of David, the 1/3 elects. We already knowing that, that the 2/3 is going to be destroyed on this side. There will be no time like it. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, it's going to be so great. The Lord is going to have to, intervene on our behalf. Supernatural intervention is getting ready to come into play. Now, Archangel Michael, when you go to Daniel 12 and 1, is going to stand up for the children of Israel. So great thing is coming. Great glory and great power, and also the great and glorious return of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. It's at the door. We cannot wait. So rejoice ye heaven. So the title of the day lesson, once again, is The Real Plan. So I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua Ba'ashim Rekah Kwadash. I like to say Shalom. Kwam Yasarala. Shalom. Shalom.